Welcome to the Coffee Access Travel Podcast, where we take you on a journey to the world of news, culture, gastronomy, lifestyle, and tourism in the central coffee-growing region of Colombia. I'm your host, Erin Donaldson, and I invite you to grab a cup of coffee and join me as we explore the intersection of travel and discovery. And good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. In today's episode, in travel, we're going to talk about the traditional Colombian Cabalgata and my recent experience. Also, in culture and lifestyle, I'm going to talk about how we buy our goat milk here fresh from the source. I have a baby feed, so tune in and check it out. So, let's talk about the traditional Colombian Cabalgata. In Colombia, in the horse world, it's a little bit different from our own respective countries, especially in the north of Caldas. This tradition stems from the arriero culture born of the necessity to use sure-footed mules to bring goods to market from hard-to-access areas.
Ese es el podcast. ¿Qué dice Ariela?
Que vamos de Cabalgata.
Sí, señora.
Fernando, venga.
Oye, Polvo, ¿cómo estás?
Mira, gringo.
¿Sabes que tengo un podcast ahora?
¿Tiene qué?
Tengo un podcast. ¿Qué diría mi audiencia? A esos gringos.
Ay. Saluda a los gringos.
¿Te recomiendas ese cabalgata o no?
Hey,
¿Lo montaría 3 veces en un día?
3 veces.
Ah, qué bueno.
Esto es una belleza por acá.
Es muy bonito.
¿Cierto que sí?
Claro, ¿cómo no?
Y apenas vamos a pasar bueno. Aquí para arriba es donde se pasa bueno ahora.
¡Serrucho!
¿No le pasó lo bueno ahora? Pues fue mi mejor parte.
Hay unos caminos hermosos.
Claro que sí.
Many people today remember having lived as young children and teenagers in farms where they had to strap supplies or produce to mules to bring to markets. This is a legacy that lives on in this region and a lifestyle that still exists in some of the far out reaches of these mountains. Remember, this is really rough terrain. This is terrain where some of these farms are really hard to get to. So, what do? They use mules. And Aranzazu is part of one of the original routes for these mule teamsters to bring goods from Medellin, passing through Aguadas, Pácora, Salamina, Neira, and finally making the climb to Manizales. The videos and images you're going to see on this old mule teamster trail with a group of Colombians. We transported all the horses and mules to Neira, and we rode to Aranzazu. This was a 6-hour journey, crossing rivers, passing a waterfall called Chorros de Termópilas. A wonderful adventure. You should definitely check it out if, when, and at the moment that you're able to visit this part of Colombia. And next, I have a segment about goat milk. So, anyone who has ever had children, or maybe you remember as a child that your brothers or sisters might have drank goat milk. Why goat milk? Essentially, the globules in cow milk is big and small, making them harder to digest. In goat milk, they're very small and even, which makes it a structure very similar to mother's milk, making it easier to digest, especially for people who want to avoid giving their children formula and want a more alternative or even healthier option. Goat milk is the source. And recently, I found a provider for goat milk at the Galeria Manizales. This guy comes to town with a little truck with all his goats on the back, and he gives you fresh goat milk. Now, you can get just a cup of goat milk the way it comes straight off the tit, or he puts this like vitamina, like a vitamin, a little bit of honey. What else did he put in there? He put like a touch of this cheap wine and mixed it all together, and believe it or not, it was actually quite delicious. So these videos show the guy with his truck parked at the Market Plaza Manizales distributing goat milk, freshly milked. And we buy from him for my son. I have a son who's 5 months old. And so we get milk delivered every week to the house. Things like this in Colombia are very common. It's actually quite easy to find those services that you need and get them brought to you. One of many reasons why I call the Colombian Coffee Access my home. And that wraps up today's episode of Coffee Access Travel Podcast, your go-to source for everything news, culture, and tourism in Colombia's coffee region. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe at patreon.com/coffeeaccesstravel for exclusive updates and early access to new episodes, all for the price of a cup of coffee. Also, do you own a local business? Want to connect with our community of foreign residents and travelers? Reach out to us at coffeeaccesstravel@gmail.com to learn more about sponsoring an episode. Until next time, I'm your host, Erin Donaldson. See you next week.